All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for this presentation on how to optimize your LinkedIn. My name is Lakeisha Poole, and I'm with Black Virtual Career Fair. Just a little bit about us. We are focused on helping Black professionals connect to career opportunities at companies that are looking for great talent. And we do so primarily through virtual events, but we also do career focused events like these events that are aimed at professional development across uh, uh, different areas so that people can maximize their career opportunities and leverage their social network. So really excited to be here in partnership with Black Engineer Week and the San Jose State University Career Center. And I will have, I guess I'll take it to Fullerton to do his introduction. And I have everything so you can share if you have any presentations. So go ahead.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction, Lakeisha. It's a pleasure to host you, Jonathan. Thank you, Bobby McCanney, for coordinating from the end of the SJSU Career Center. We're excited to host you today for this wonderful link, leverage, and level up workshop, Mastering LinkedIn for career success. Jonathan Dixon is an SJSU alumni from the College of Engineering, and he's been very willing to give back to the college and the students. So it's wonderful to have him. Black Engineer Week takes place in June. This year is going to be from June 21st to June 28th here in Silicon Valley. And the way it generally happens is that we visit different companies, right? We go all the way from places like LinkedIn, and then we have formal and informal gatherings. So informal gatherings are things like golf and hiking, and the formal gatherings are things like visiting companies like LinkedIn, Synopsys, Google, Adobe, ServiceNow as hosts for Black Engineer Week. And last year, we also included cutting edge companies like NVIDIA. So people get to get a deep insight into the companies while also having formal and informal interactions and leveraging it to boost their career. The website is www.blackengineerweek.com. I'll type it in the chat. And if you want to learn more. But without further ado, I'll pass it on. So, Lakeisha, is Bobby next or
Yes.
okay?
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Bobby McConney. I'm the Executive Director of the Career Center. So welcome to this Leverage Your LinkedIn profile. And then we want you to save the date from June 21st to the 28th for Black Engineering Week. Thank you.
Great. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan.
I guess that means I'm up. One sec. Let me see if I can share my screen. Okay. So, and I'm gonna go through the presentation and I'm try to watch the chat window as I go. So if I don't see your question, we'll have a Q&A session at the end and we can go over anything. Um, but, but yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Hello, my name is Jonathan. I'm here to talk about LinkedIn and how you can use it to build out your network, and also how you can use it to leverage uh, career opportunities and help advance you in that way. Get going here. So just a little bit about me. I was born and raised in the Bay Area. Grew up in Hayward, California, and I'm a first-gen college grad student. I went to San Jose State University and got my degree in electrical engineering in 2019. Um, and currently, this month actually, it's been 2 years for me at LinkedIn. Based out of their Sunnyvale office, and previously I worked at Cisco, and where I interned there, and then became a full-time employee after graduating from San Jose. And just a little bit about what I do. So I'm a site reliability engineer, and basically what I do at LinkedIn is, I guess the best way to describe it is I work on the edge infrastructure of LinkedIn. So making sure people can reach the website as quickly as possible, and also protecting LinkedIn from like bad traffic and attacks and things like that. And a lot of my job is around building internal tools and monitoring the health of our service we have at LinkedIn. So these are the topics that we're going to cover today. I'm going to go a little bit over what LinkedIn is, and then talk about how to build your profile, and go into how to build your professional network and how to use that network to find potential job opportunities. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how you can use LinkedIn to apply for jobs, which is a key point of having a LinkedIn profile. So what is LinkedIn? The best way to describe it, I would say, is it's the world's largest professional network. So when you look at social media apps like Instagram, Facebook, things like that, that's your place where you can reflect on yourself personally. But LinkedIn is the place where you want to reflect on yourself in a professional manner. So it's a place where you can connect with other working professionals, a place where you can find jobs, a place where you want to build your professional brand and let people know about who you are and what do you do and what do you want to actually be interested in as well. And so we'll start off with talking about building your LinkedIn profile. Um, First and foremost, the first thing would be to create one if you don't have one. And you can do that on the website or the app or whichever one you feel you prefer or are comfortable using. But the first thing would be to talk about the difference between a profile and a resume. So I would say the biggest difference between your LinkedIn profile and your resume is when you create a resume, you usually gear it towards the specific job you're looking for. So whatever is the role that you want, you'll maybe add some things in your resume, you might subtract some things that aren't relevant, that you're gearing that towards that specific job. But a profile is a more catch-all entity because you're speaking to all the potential employers, so not just one. So that gives you the flexibility to add a lot more details. So you can go to more details about the skills you have, the projects that you have, the interest you're in, like certifications, things like that. And it's a place where other people can see you, or you can learn about others and things like that. You could also have recommendations, you can have endorsements and things like that on your profile. The best way for me, what I always tell people is I think of a LinkedIn profile as like a digital business card. So it's a place where people can go and learn about you. Oftentimes when you're in a professional setting and you meet someone, most of the time they say, "Oh, add me on LinkedIn." So that's the place usually you go and you connect with that person and you see, oh, they work here, they work in this industry, this is what they're about. So you have that flexibility to add a lot more details of like who you are as a professional. And one of the most important things about a LinkedIn profile is having a photo. Um, you don't have to have, the GQ magazine style photo, but also you don't want like your picture from Coachella last year. You want something to have some sort of professionalism, um, like a nice background, dress for the job you want. Like if you're in sales, maybe you want to be in a suit. If you're in tech, I know tech is a lot casual, but maybe like a collared shirt or something like that. Um, just try to have like smile if you can. Just a clear photo of you is the main point. And also, it's important to have a photo in general. I've seen a lot of LinkedIn profiles where they don't even have a picture, and no one's going to remember you and your profile. They don't even know what you look like. So that's a key point to have that oftentimes a lot of people miss. And then, so editing your profile, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but this is like the bread and butter of your page. So you can add your location, you can add your industry, you can add your education, certifications, things like that, your work experience, volunteer experience, skills, and any programs you're a part of. This is the piece that really helps people find you. Um, Oftentimes when you have a resume and you submit it, um, companies have like tracking software that will pick out or that will look for specific keywords. Like you can literally look up a website and type in a job description and it'll find keywords for you to help you enhance your resume. It's a similar sentiment in your profile. So if there's a specific job you're looking for, a specific industry, you want to highlight those skills in your profile because those are going to be the skills or keywords that people are looking for. For example, like if you're working in software, you want to highlight the skills that like Python, Java, things like that. If you're a photographer, you want to highlight like the software you're familiar with, like Photoshop or Lightroom, or like the hardware that you use, like your camera, like the Canon, things like that. So you want to highlight the things that that the companies are looking for. And the best way you can do that is, again, you see a job description, you can run it through some site, keyword finder, and you can you find the keywords you want. And if you have those skills, then throw that on your resume, or sorry, not your resume, but do put it on your resume, but put it on your profile as well, so you can highlight that. And I guarantee you it will help because that's how I found my job here at LinkedIn. A recruiter messaged me and said, "Hey, we saw your profile. We think you would be a good fit for this role." I didn't even know they were hiring. They just reached out to me because of the highlights I had on my profile. And oftentimes or not, you can get a lot of recruiters reaching out to you that way if you have your profile set up the right way. Next, editing your headline. So your headline is just like a quick liner about who you are. So like when someone hovers over your profile, it's what they see. Usually this is something that what do you want to highlight about yourself? Usually it's like your job title, the company you work at, the industry you're in. So this is like a quick one note of like, what do I want recruiters to know? What I want professionals to know about me when they first see me? And then your summary. The best way I would describe this is it's kind of like a cover letter on a resume. So your summary is like the place where you talk about who you are. So like 1 to 2 sentences about hardworking professional growing up in the Bay, something like that. Like what are the key things you want people to know? And then also talk about your experience. So I worked in this industry for X amount of years doing this work for this company. It's the highlights of your skills and your passions. And then lastly, you can talk about like your future, like what is it that you're interested in? What industry do you want to go into? Or what technology do you want to learn more about? So highlight who you are, what are you working on now, and then maybe what are you interested later on down the line. And then next, we're going to talk about building your professional network. So just one little quick note, 50% of hires actually result from a personal connection. I'm sure you heard the term. It's about not what you know, it's who you know. I think it's a little bit of a combination of both. I think what you know gets you a job, but who you know is what gets your foot in the door. So that's why it's important to build out those connections that you have. So example, some initial connections you might have would be a former employer, like your boss or a coworker or a former colleague, like someone you went to school with. If you're looking for a job, you might reach out to that person, like say, oh, I want to work at Apple in the sales department. Well, so you message your old classmate, we can call him Chelsea, for example, like, hey, do you know if Apple's hiring for that role? Well, she might not know who's hiring, or she might not have people hiring in her role, but she might know someone who's hiring in that department at Apple. So they reach out to their colleague they know at Apple, say, hey, I know this person. They're looking for a job. Are you hiring? They say, well, we're not hiring, but I know this team is. So now you have a job application for a role. You might even have a referral because of the initial connection you have. So building up those connections that you do have creates like a web of the people they're connected with as well. And kind of touched on this a little bit, but like discovering existing connections. That's in the My Network page on LinkedIn. And oftentimes this is like friends and family, current or former colleagues, current and former managers. This is just an easy way to connect with people you directly know. So you can build out those connections quickly and easily. And most of the time, people accept these connections because they already know who you are. But then there's also the side of if you want to connect with people you don't know. So you can connect based on name or company or location. And these would be people that you have mutual connections with, but you may not know them directly. But because you have a mutual connection, people are more inclined to accept those invites. And most of the time, this is for like you want to have a purpose when connecting with these people, like whether it's a company they're working at or they have a job that you're interested in learning about. You always want to have that type of intention when connecting. And speaking on the actual connection, so when you do send an invite to people, it's always suggested you want to send a message. Because there's been a lot of times where I'll get like random messages, or not even messages, I just get random connections. And it's people I don't know. I don't really know why they're connected with me. I don't know what the interest is, so I don't accept it. But if you send an invite like, hey, I see you work at XYZ, I really want to learn more about what you do there. That builds some relationship with them because then now they see why you're interested in talking to them. And that makes them more inclined to accept the invite and have a conversation with you. So there's just a couple of things you want to think about when you are establishing a network. So you want to look at for people you have something in common with, people who might have a job or work at a company that interests you, or someone who can help you with some type of way and achieve whatever it is your goal is at the time. And you want to think about things like who are you, how you came across the profile, and then how they can help you. And those are the type of things you want to express when you reach out to these people. So now we're going to talk a little bit about how you can use that network to connect to potential job opportunities. Once you've built out your network, how do you leverage it and to your advantage? And this is another quick tip or quick highlight. LinkedIn members are 4 times more likely to get hired by companies where they have connections. So it's, again, like I was saying, it's an addition of not just what you know, but also who you know. So those connections can help open doors for you. One of the most like common ways I would say of connecting is doing an informational interview. This could be for various things, like if you are working in a specific field, but you're interested in a different one, you can talk to the person in that field to get career advice and learn more about their industry or their role or their jobs or things like that. And also, I think the most important thing is this helps establish a relationship with that person. Um, I remember I had a student from San Jose State reach out to me. They just set up an informational interview with me just to learn about what I did at LinkedIn and what I was working on. And I established that initial connection. And this helps with later down the line if you need a referral. So referrals really help you when it comes to applying for a job because it helps move your application up since someone's essentially staking that they believe you're good for this role. So when you ask for a referral, you want to make sure it's for someone that you have a connection with. You don't want to just add a random person on LinkedIn just because they work at the company you want to be at and like, hey, can you refer me? You know, people are staking their reputation on a referral that they believe in you. Back to that story where I had this student reach out to me. You know, we had that initial connection, and then when time came and they found a job, they said, "Hey, I see this role on LinkedIn. Would you mind referring me?" And I had no problem doing that because we already had this established connection. So filling those little things up with like information interviews or just a coffee chat or things like that helps set the stepping stools for potential opportunities for you later down the line. You can also use the connections you have to request for recommendations. Um, there's a section on your LinkedIn profile where you can get asked for recommendation. So that could usually be like a current or a former manager, someone you used to work with, or like a mentor. And essentially just helps with boosting your profile, making it look more professional. You know, you see people actually sticking their neck out and talking about your work and your craft. So that really helps with your profile. And just some highlights again. You want to invest in those connections you have. You spend all this effort building those bridges. You know, you don't want to let those connections die. You want to maintain them for future opportunities, even if it's not now. You know, maybe down the line, there's times where people change jobs, you change jobs, and someone might think of you like, hey, I saw this opening. I thought you'd be a good fit. Would you want to apply? There's a lot of times that's how people end up getting jobs. Um, also interacting on LinkedIn, you know, you don't necessarily have to be on there every day posting and things like that, but just tapping into what other people are doing, you know, seeing the content they have, sharing it, reading up on it, things like that. And then joining groups too. There's a lot of interests, or you can find similar interests in people. So if you join a specific group or alumni group or things like that, you're tapped in with community of people that you're somewhat familiar with, and they help leverage each other in terms of finding jobs or posting jobs and things like that. And next, just going to touch on how you can search and apply for jobs on LinkedIn. So the simplest thing that you could start off with is change your status to open to work. It's this feature LinkedIn added where you put open to work and you can add jobs that you're looking for or locations you're looking for. You can indicate if you're looking actively right now or just browsing. I think the best part is you can also put if you want it open to everyone or you just only want it shown to recruiters so only they see that you're open to work. Because there's times where you might be looking for a job, but you don't want your employer to know. So you don't have to worry about that with that option. Also, you can search for jobs. So there's actual jobs tab on LinkedIn where you can search on keywords, you can search by job title, the company or location. A lot of times people are now searching like based on if they want it remote or hybrid or things like that. So there's a lot of different filters you can use to find jobs that are posted on LinkedIn. And you can also use that to create alerts. So maybe those same filters, you want to know when a job gets posted, you can get an alert so you're the first person to jump on it and apply when the time comes. And then another part you can use is you can view jobs that you might be interested in. That same sentiment we were talking about earlier, where if you leverage the right keywords for a job that you want, LinkedIn will see your skills and things like that, and they'll be able to recommend jobs for you. Like, oh, we see that you have experience in this, so we think that you'd be a good fit for this role. It's a good way to help leverage jobs that you might have a higher chance to get a role in, because the recruiter on the LinkedIn is going to see that you have a percentage match for that role because you already been recommended for it. Another thing you can do is you can follow companies. So say if you want to work at a specific job, you can follow that company on LinkedIn. You can get information about their culture, what they're up to, posts like that. You can also see who's working there. So it will show you if you have any connections that are working there. So maybe you want to talk to someone about their experience there. I did that when I was applying for LinkedIn. I connected with someone I used to work with, and I saw that they worked there. And I was like, hey, I got an informational interview with them and asked them about what they liked, what they didn't like, what their interview process was like, what their salary negotiations were like. So getting information like that with someone that already works there is really valuable. And also recruiters can even see people who are engaged on that page. So they might filter down for people who are interested in their company like that. So it's a good help for engaging with that for potential job opportunities. And another feature you can use is easy apply. So it gets tedious sometimes when you're applying for jobs, especially when you're typing in the same information, filling out the same forms over and over for different roles. A lot of jobs on LinkedIn now have easy apply, where you just click and it'll fill out your information for you based on your profile. That's why it's important to have your profile up to date. So if you do hit easy apply, it'll have all the correct details that you put on there. So you can apply to a lot of jobs more faster because of that. Then quickly, just some bonus credit. Actually, sorry, I see a question, Keisha. When you follow companies, can you make this invisible on your profile? I don't think you can make it invisible, but it's not, when you follow a company, it's not necessarily meaning you want to work there. Like, it's not like your employer sees that you're following Facebook, and they see that as a red flag. Like, I follow a lot of companies on my profile just because I like to follow the tech companies. And so it's more of just one, you show them you're interested. The two is also just staying up to date on certain companies. Wow. Oh yeah, where were we? Oh yeah, so you can use LinkedIn Learning also. This is a place where there's a bunch of training content. If you want to do some professional development, and a nice thing about it is oftentimes if you complete a course, you can post it on your LinkedIn profile, or if there's a certification after it, you can post that on there. So you should be able to you can go through your courses and then share it with others so that people see that you're grinding and developing yourself. Let's see, Jasmine has a question. Do you have tips for searching for jobs using Boolean search? So, actually, are you talking about specifically with the jobs page on LinkedIn? I don't know if you have a mic set up, Jasmine.
Hi, I do.
Okay.
So no, I'm not talking about under the job section. I'm talking about under the LinkedIn search section specifically.
Mhm.
I'm curious to know like if you have tips on how you might leverage that. So basically it would be like an alternative way of searching for jobs, right? Because I think
Mhm.
everyone when they go to LinkedIn and they're looking for a job, they go to jobs, right? But I
Yeah.
want to try to find like hiring managers or recruiters who are posting that they are
Uh,
hiring,
I
and
see what you're
how
saying.
might I leverage Boolean to do that?
Um, that's a good question. Actually, I don't think I've ever, if there's a capability to look for like recruiters who are actually hiring. Um, because there's the recruiter technology, but but it's actually for like the recruiters themselves. So it's like, it's not from like a customer perspective, or just like a general user. That's
Right.
what makes it tricky. Um, so I can
Okay.
get back to you, Matt. I can email my recruiter I know and ask them.
That also actually leads into a second question I have.
Yeah.
But if there's a Q&A time set aside specifically, I can wait until then.
I mean, I only had like two more slides. So
I can, um, can I say something to that?
yeah.
I know usually when you go to LinkedIn, you look at, like, say Google, then you can say recruiters, and there's so many recruiters. But I went to a woman who used to work for LinkedIn, and she goes teaches classes about LinkedIn. She said the worst thing you ever do is do a pitch slap, meaning you introduce yourself, and then say, do you have any jobs opening? She said it takes time when you reach out to a recruiter, build a relationship, make your comments. They want to know how long you've been on LinkedIn, what things that you post, making yourself be active, build a communication with them. And then maybe if they don't have a position, they can refer you to someone else's position. But if you reach out to a recruiter, say, oh, are you hiring? Unless they say they're hiring, then it's like, they won't respond. This is what I was told.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think my question was like around like, what are some maybe more creative and alternative ways to search for jobs on LinkedIn outside of the very obvious like jobs?
Jobs filter.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I would say what I would do is I would still look through the jobs filter for the job, but then once I see the job I'm interested in, I would go to that company page and then see who I have a connection with, who's working there. And then if you know that person well enough, I would message them like, hey, it's been a while. How's it going? I see you working there. I saw that they actually have an opening for this role. I was wondering if I could talk to you about your experience working here and how you like it. And then, you catch up with them, get their Q&A with them about what they like about the company. And then maybe at the end, like, would you mind referring to me when I apply for this role?
I think that's helpful. If do we have time for another question? Sorry. I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
bogart the time. Okay, going back to what you were talking about with like the recruiter view of LinkedIn, right? Like, I'm curious to know if you have tips on like how we might optimize our profile to where we like come up at the top. Is there like some sort of like SEO optimization tips for prospective candidates for so that we can come to the top on the recruiter's
yeah.
view of things?
So it goes back to the keywords again about the job descriptions. It's like those similar to how your resume goes through like I think they call it ATS system. How your resume goes through that and it looks for keywords to the job description. You kind of are doing the reverse. So you would have to get the job description and then pull out the keywords from that. And then you want to put those skills into your profile. So like there's a page on your profile where you add skills, and that's like leadership or a technical skill or like Microsoft Word or things like that. There is tools you can use. There, this is a link that it goes over like how that process works. It's a pretty good video of how to go through it. Um, and I believe they reference some scanners that you can use. It's not LinkedIn, it's Indeed. So Don't tell him I sent you that. But yeah, that would be a good starting place. I put it in the chat too, so in case so people can see it. But yeah, you kind of have to like reverse engineer it in the sense of you want to identify the keywords through like a scanner and then put those keywords in your profile, assuming that those are the skills that you can highlight.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you have any more
Mhm.
slides?
I just had two other slides. It was one just about joining groups, and then two like using like alumni pages. Um,
Okay.
yeah, like for example, like the San Luis State alumni page, you can view like where people are working at. You can view where people are studying, things like that. It's a good avenue to see if you know someone that's working at a specific job or a company that you're interested in. And people are more likely to reach out. People are more likely to respond to a message. They see that oh, we went to the same school. So it's a good way to like find people who are involved in something you're interested in.
Okay, so you're gonna share your screen?
Uh, it was just that last slide actually. So I'm done.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, great. I would love to see if there's any questions from anybody. Thank you so much for that presentation. I had a lot of thoughts, I would just say in terms of like optimization, and I mean, I'll definitely share that link in terms of the Indeed link in terms of optimizing, but also, you know, a lot of times people are hesitant to give referrals, but I mean, I don't know, I speak for myself. I give introductions pretty
Yeah.
easily, especially if you ghostwrite the email, ghostwrite the intro, and I will be more than happy because I do in the course of my line of work, I have a lot of connections to recruiters, as it turns out. So just putting it out there, you know, again, don't make me do the work, but if you say, hey, you're connected to the so and so at this organization, I'd love to be connected. You know, obviously I, you know, say, you know, get my yes. And then if you ghostwrite it, what I can do then is, you know, send a group email between that person. And a lot of people, especially people within like the Black professional community, they really want to help, especially if they feel like, you know, there's a lack of access and insight. So, you know, not that
Yeah.
that's, I'll do it for everybody, but I'm just
Just
saying that that's one thing that you'll notice is a lot of people will be willing to do intros. So feel
yeah,
free to
I
take
agree.
advantage.
Also, a lot of companies like provide bonuses for referrals. So like that's also a incentive for people to give out
Yeah.
referrals.
Exactly. And a lot of times it's like you have to do the intro to get the referral because they have to have a
Mhm.
sense of what you're applying for, why, and all of that. And so that's why I think it's good to start with the intros, and so a little more loose on the intros. And a lot of you know, I do this a lot apart from when the fairs, just because, you know, that's our goal is to get these opportunities. And there might be roles that happen when there isn't a fair, but more people should take advantage of it. I think that that's one thing that, you know, can be a blind spot.
One thing I wanted to mention is sometimes people hear all these fantastic tips from Jonathan and they might not implement them, or they might find them difficult to implement. So as a tool for incentivization, there's an offer of the table of 3 LinkedIn Premium accounts that will be passed on to the people that implement what Jonathan has presented the best into their LinkedIn profiles. So if you feel like you're one of the 3 and you're interested and up for that challenge, you can shoot an email to myself or Lakeisha, and we'll be taking a look in about 2 to 3 weeks, because I know it takes some time for people to get their recommendation letters and all those kind of things in there. But yeah, so all right, I see a few people are interested. So
Yay.
interested in taking on the challenge. We got Michael, we got Chidima, we got Tayo. Okay, fantastic.
Kimberly, did you raise you had your hand raised. Do you have a question?
All right, so I'll let you answer the question. We'll look at the folks interested, and then we'll be in touch and we'll take a look at your profiles. So please go ahead, ask your question and continue. Thank you very much.
Nice. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I did have one question in particular. When I've been looking at ways to optimize my LinkedIn profile and what I can do to attract the interest of recruiters, I did notice there was one particular article, and I'm not too sure if it's accurate or not, but I did see that a recruiter was saying that having the open to work sign on your LinkedIn came off as too enthusiastic, and or like it could actually harm your chances of getting a job. So I'm not too sure if that's still relevant or if that even has any validity, or if this is just like a personal opinion from this particular recruiter.
I mean, I wouldn't. I guess it depends because I know when you put that status, it shows it to recruiters. So it seems counterintuitive to me for a recruiter to not go towards someone who's listing open to work. But I guess if this depends on the company, because it's more of like a game of you want to go towards people who aren't looking for jobs. But um, I wouldn't necessarily say it would hurt. I mean, I don't have that status on me right now, but I know when, especially with this tech climate right now, like when there's layoffs, I see a lot of people who put that status and then they announce that they are looking for jobs because that's the reality. Like they are looking for a job. So if I say leverage every avenue you have to try to find one.
Okay, yeah, that answers my question because like you said, the environment of the tech companies right now, and I know that recruiters, it'll make it easier for them at least to know that you're available. I
Mhm.
just wanted to know if it could hurt your chances, but I think I find a lot more logic in your reasoning.
We have another question.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Shadina. So my question is, if you're working on like a startup project, or if you have worked on startups, do you put that on your resume, especially if it's not maybe incorporated yet? I feel like sometimes the term founder might also dissuade recruiters.
I think if you one if you if it doesn't conflict with any like NDA issues because it's like a early project, I'd say put your experience in there. But you would just want to be specific towards like what it is that you did and like what technology you worked on.
Yeah,
That's in that sense, I think it's more empowering because you're highlighting what you know and whatever is the skill set that you have worked on from that project. But I would just say be careful of like picking out the specifics because it's an early project.
yeah. Okay, so it's okay to put that
Yeah.
you're a founder, or should you just put like maybe the role that you're searching for as your, if you're, you
I
know, you
think
kind of do everything. If you're in startup mode, you are responsible for a
so.
lot of things. So is it better to put that you're like a researcher or a product manager or engineer?
I would say the role helps. I'll say put the role, then maybe perhaps in like your in like your summary section, you could put like founder of the company. Because it depends in the sense like there's times where you want to highlight your founder because like oftentimes as a startup you're looking for funding, but if it's in the case of like you're looking for a job, then some companies might think, oh, you're trying to work with them and also work on your own company. So maybe in
Right.
that sense, just put the position.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
With a hand raised. Oh, did it go away? I was gonna try. All right. Well, I don't know if we got through all the questions. Let's see. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, cool. Well, one more minute for questions. Okay. How much the current job market? I had a question about that. Yeah. Well, I mean, all you have to do is look at layoffs FYI to have an insight on what the tech job market is. And, I wish I could say, oh, I know all the secrets for all the jobs that are booming, but the reality is there's a lot of forces that are causing layoffs right now. The interest rates, the funding, a lot of startup companies are looking for exits, which means, growth is not as hot as it was before. That doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities, but we do have to look at other industries and perhaps looking at mid-sized companies, for example.
Mhm.
I'm really dedicated towards looking for those opportunities. And if you have any knowledge of companies that are looking for, especially for tech talent, like that's in other industries, love to talk to you. But yeah, that's definitely one of the big challenges of this market. So I don't know,
Yeah,
Jonathan.
I I mean, so far, even like from what I've seen, it's been hard, especially with the layoff side. I think someone put it in the comments. Yeah, it's hard because a lot of companies are making like all-time high in terms of money and stock price, but they're doing layoffs with because they're trying to make space for the AI projects. So that's one area I would say try to leverage in terms of like trading up and things. But just because big tech is having layoffs, there's also like you said, mid-market. You could do local like startups. You could do it's not flashy, but like government. And until you have that time to leverage going back into like big tech, um, yeah, it's hard to find like the space, I guess, right now. But it's for sure a wave. It's not what's going to be forever.
Mhm.
Um,
I
so I
agree.
just, yeah,
I think there's going to be hiring, and especially as, we'll see what happens in terms of interest rates and
yeah,
market and whatnot. But if you could survive this time, though, that's one thing.
yeah.
You guys will be ready for so much more. And so I do have a question. How will this meeting be shared again? I am going to send a recording. So after this, give me a minute because I have to run and do some kid care stuff, but I will send a thank you with the recording and the Indeed link. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free to do so. I'll put that in there as well. So yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for coming and participating. If there's any more questions, just get off the mic and ask it. Otherwise, I'm going to conclude and thank you guys again. Going once.
Thank you. And I put
There's
my
Jasmine.
profile there
Hey.
too.
I'm sorry, I just have a lot of questions because I've been doing like some TikTok deep diving, and so that's why I was asking like about the Boolean search. But I also had a question about is there any validity to on the recruiter's view of LinkedIn, like the most recently updated profiles sort of coming to the top? Like, is there validity there? Because I did come across something that talked about that.
That one on the technical side, I don't know, but I could see why they would make the argument because just by like how like a search would go is when you run a query, it goes based on most recent, and if your profile is recently updated, then I could see a justification of like why someone would say that would happen. But again, I can if you want to shoot me your email or anything, I
Sure.
can I can find that out.
Sure, that would be
I,
great. Just because
yeah,
I think one of the tips that I come across was like once a week, like update like something small
yeah,
on your profile so that if you are indicating that you're open to work, on the recruiter side of LinkedIn, when they're, when they're doing the search, your
yeah,
profile would come, your profile would come higher, come closer to the top because it's been most recently updated. That's why I was like, oh, I
yeah,
wonder if he knows about that. Okay. I will share my email. Thanks so much. I appreciate
yeah.
this. Thank you for hosting. Very insightful.
Yes,
Thanks
thank you
for joining.
again for everybody for participating, and I'll follow up with emails shortly. Take care.